This is Sarah with Posh Pooch Designs, and if you'll notice, I'm not in my yarn studio today. I'm downstairs in my kitchen. What we're going to do today is I'm going to show you a simple and easy way to make these polymer clay handles for your crochet hooks. These are fantastic if you have wrist or finger issues like rheumatoid arthritis or regular arthritis or just get sore hands. It's really simple. You only need about 4 things. Of course, you're going to need some crochet hooks, and this is my preferred brand, the Boy brand. I like the tops of them. And we're going to be doing these 3. This is the G, H, and I. Pick these up at Walmart, I think less than $4. And you're also going to need some clay. And this is my preferred brand of clay, the Sculpty clay. I get this at Walmart. I think it's like $2. You can see $1.99 there, I think. Make sure that it says oven bake. And you only need about 2, maybe 3 colors. They're really inexpensive. And a lot of times I'll buy a big multi-pack so I can get lots of different colors. So you need hooks, you need clay, and you're going to need this. This is called parchment paper. And you're going to need this to line the pan that you put in your oven. And also I use it as a work surface. You can use wax paper for your work surface. I just like using the parchment paper since I have it. That's the 3 things you need. The 4th thing you're going to need is an oven. Now you can see back here I have my regular oven and I have my toaster oven. When I'm doing a big batch of buttons or tags or crochet hooks, I'll use my big oven. But since I'm just going to do the 3, I'm going to use my toaster oven. And they both work exactly the same. Set your timer, set your time. They work exactly the same. Okay, so run over to your local Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Joann's, or Michael's and get you some crochet hooks, get you some Sculpty, and get you some parchment paper, and I'll wait for you. Let's go. So here's my toaster oven. I've got it set to bake, and I have it preheated to 275 degrees, and that's what you're going to need to bake the handles for your crochet hooks. Preheat your oven to 275 degrees, whether you're using your small oven or your big oven. Both are the same as far as the heat. Now this step is very important. You need to line your cookie sheet or whatever tray you're using in your oven with the parchment paper. The reason this is very important is polymer clay can leave a residue on the pan, and if this is a pan you cook food in, you do not want that residue on there. So you want to make sure you put a sheet. I cut this one small to fit my small pan because this is my pan that goes in my toaster oven. And if it doesn't stay on, you can put a little dab of tape on the corners until you get your pieces on. I don't worry about it. But like I said, this is a very important step. Line your pan with the parchment paper. The first thing that you need to do on this step is to make sure that you line your work surface, especially if it's in the kitchen, with some parchment paper or some wax paper to keep that clay residue off your counter. The next thing you need to do is wash your hands with some good soap and water. Make sure all that soap residue is rinsed off and your hands are dried really well. Then you need to pick out your clay. I'm going to be using this teal, this pink, and this purple. I'm going to use 3 colors. And you need to knead your clay, and that just means squeezing it in your hands until it's nice and soft and easy to work with. And you need to do this with all 3 of your colors until it's nice and soft and easy to work with. Once you get your clay nice and soft and easy to work with, we're going to begin rolling it in our hands to make some canes. And canes are just long, rolled out dough. And this should bring you back to the days when you used to play with dough like Play-Doh or clay in school. You're just going to gently roll it out, pushing just a little bit on the edges, around the middle, try to get a nice even cane. And it's kind of up to you, my paper's moving around, it's kind of up to you how thin you want to make your canes. So here's the blue one. Let's do the pink one. We're going to begin by rolling it in our hands. Then when it starts getting a little bit long, and you'll notice my blue one is longer than my pink and my purple, and that's because I wanted there to be a double amount of that color. So there's my pink one, and we'll start with our next one with our purple. Again, rolling it out. All right, so what I'm going to do with my blue one is I'm going to break it in half, and I'm going to set it here. And now we're going to line all our canes up together. Going to kind of squish them. Then we're going to pick them up and we're going to twist them all together, just like this. And the idea is to blend the colors but not mix the colors. So we're going to twist like this, and then we're going to roll again. Now, it's up to you how many times you want to turn and twist and roll. How much you want your colors saturated into each other color. And this clay that we have right here should be enough to do all 3 of our crochet hooks. So I've got it out about this long, and I'm going to take my crochet hook and I'm going to kind of just see, you know, if it's going to be long enough. If it's not, you can measure. I just eyeball. Okay, so I kind of like the way this is looking, so I'm not going to twist it and saturate it anymore. And we're going to need to make some cuts. You can use a clay cutter, or you can just use a knife. If you're going to use a knife, I would suggest use one you can throw away. And the next thing you need to remember is you don't want to cover up which hook it is. So what I do is I set the hook right here, and then I go down below about this much. And we'll set that clay aside for now. So now I have this little tube. And there are 2 ways that you can do it. You can try to gently shove that down inside if you want to, or you can smash it out a little bit with your finger. Take your hook, making sure you don't cover the measurement, push it down in there and roll it up like this. Push the end up a little. Looks a little wonky, doesn't it? I just take it in my hand and just gently roll it, and it begins to shape back into that tube. The end. And I'm just going to gently roll it, try to get if there's any bumps or bubbles or places I don't like. Now, the thickness of the hook handle is totally up to you and what you prefer. These other ones, because they're bigger hooks, I've got nice big chunky handles on these. These are a little smaller, so I'm not going to do the hooks handle hook quite as big. Now I see I still have a couple of bumps there. You might get indentions or bumps, and you might need to pinch your clay a little. Roll it out, and just give it a real good inspection. You see a little place you don't like, you want to push it up a little more. You know, it's totally up to you. Okay, so that one looks nice and smooth, but it doesn't look smooth up here. So I'm going to take my knife, and I'm not going to use the bumpy end, I'm going to use the flat end. And I'm just going to push it down a little. And then sort of just take my finger and rub along there. And I'll do that until I'm happy with the way the handle looks. All right. The other thing that you might want to do is on this end, make sure it's nice and flat. And I just kind of pick it up and go like this. And roll it. And now I'm happy with the way it looks. So I'm going to take my tray and go ahead and just lay my hook like that. And that's the way I'm going to do the other two as well. I've got enough here to make 2 more hooks. So measure it out. You can use your knife or your clay cutter. I've got enough for both my hooks. So we'll do exactly the same, kind of roll it out a little. I'm going to go ahead and flatten it because I think it works great this way. Put my hook in there, making sure I don't cover the measurement of my hook. Just push it right down in there. Pull my clay up around. I'm going to flip that one up. There we go. And now it looks a little wonky. Needs a little tender love and care. So we'll just roll it until we're happy. And see how easy this is and how fast? Got a couple of bumps there, so I'm going to make some little pinches. Roll them out, cover those bumps. We don't want any air holes. We don't want anything that's going to cause our crochet hook not to work right or bake right in the oven. I like that little pink blob on the end of there. It looks pretty. Okay, this one doesn't look too bad. We got little bumps right there. I'm going to pinch those. There we go. Make sure it's nice and rolled out. Bottom needs to be a little flatter, I think. All right, I'm pretty happy with the way that one looks. So I finished all 3 of my crochet hooks, and I'm just giving them a once over to make sure they're not covering the size, make sure I like the way they look, and now I'm going to stick them in the oven. And we're going to place them in the oven for 15 minutes. I'm using the timer on my big oven so that I can see the numbers, and I set my timer to 15 minutes. They're ready! Well, the timer went off, so I took them out of the oven and I set them here on my counter. Now they need to sit for about 24 hours to kind of let them cure, making sure they're completely dry and ready to use on your next crochet project. Now wasn't that easy and fun?